What's happening, people? I'm back, feeling better, and I'm raring to go. Let's talk about Robin Sharma's The Leader Who Had No Title. So last week I was sick and I gave you my top 5 books which I read last year. And I said that for the next few weeks we're going to be going through them. Starting at number 5, we're going with The Leader Who Had No Title by Robin Sharma. I'm going to spend 1 week on this book, but some of the others I might spend more than 1 week on because I feel like there's a lot in those books which you and I can learn from. As usual, if you want to read the review for the book, please check out my website. The link is in the description below. And also... Okay, so let's try that again. The link is in the description below if you want to read the review for this book. But first, let me give you a quick snippet. So this book is different from most of the leadership books which I've read. Mainly, it's written in the style of a fable rather than a kind of how-to book. The protagonist in this book really isn't at a successful point in his life, and he meets someone along the way who was a friend of his father, and this person gives him the principles of leading without a title, which helps him to grow and to become a better person. So, as an ambitious person, I'm sure that you want to get further in your career. The Leader Who Had No Title is one book which will 100% help you achieve that. What this book explains is that issues start to arise when we as people are waiting for the titles rather than bringing on the characteristics of a leader before we get those titles. One quote which really spoke to me from this book was that if your power is based solely on the title which you have, once that title is taken away from you, that means that you no longer have any power. And a real leader, their power is not based on the title which they hold. It's quite reminiscent of the 5 levels of leadership by John Maxwell, where the bottom rung of leadership is where your leadership is based solely on the title that you have. The reason why people are following you is because you have the title of the manager, because you have the title of the coach or any CEO, any of those kind of positions. That's the sole reason why people are following you. It's not because of the characteristics or the strengths which you have as a leader. When you get down to it, leadership is much more than a title. In my first job, I was a leader. I was hired as a supervisor of the checkouts in the supermarket which I worked in. And I like to think that it was something which they saw in me whilst they gave me that position. However, when I look back and think about it, I think it was really just the luck of the draw, God really shining down on me, because I don't really think that I had any characteristics that would have helped me for that role at that time. So this was about 13 years ago. And as a supervisor, you had to have a special key which you would use on the till so you can make changes to people's bill, whether they wanted to take things off or you wanted to avoid a transaction. I was so happy about me getting this role. I of course told my dad, and my dad, being a leader himself, was happy because his son in his first position had got a job as a leader. So my dad is a really supportive guy, so he came down to work one day to visit me. He was being served by one guy at a till, and he was like, oh yeah, you know, my son works here. And then the guy said, oh, who's your son? And my dad said, Joel, he's one of the checkout supervisors. And the thing which this guy said back to my dad was, oh, Joel's got a key, but he doesn't really have any power. To my dad. And the reason for that obviously was because my leadership was on the bottom rung. I was literally the personification of the quote within The Leader Who Had No Title. Once the main protagonist of this book incorporated the leadership principles within his life, you started to see how his career and his life started to change. A lot of things started to come together for him. And the reason why this is important is because often within leadership, people forget that the hardest person for them to lead is themselves. So once you put those principles within your life, you will start to see things change for you. So let's get to the question of the week. The question of the week is it time for you and I to step up? What are the decisions, what are the changes that we need to make in our life to put leadership principles in to see our lives move forward? So let's forget about promotions, let's forget about titles. We don't need those to be leaders, we don't need it for our life to change. But what are the changes that we need to make? How do we need to lead ourselves to make sure that we move forward? Do we need to become more organized? Do we need to manage our money better? Do we need to make sure that we're more accessible to people, that people feel free to talk to us? What is it that we need to change? What are the areas of our lives which we need to step up? So think about it for this week. Is it time for you to step up? And how are you going to step up? So that's basically what I learned from The Leader Who Had No Title. I really do recommend this book to you. It's number 5 of the books which I read last year, but it's still a very good book. Also, the link for that is in the description below if you want to purchase a copy. So as always, you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. This is my 4th video which I'm putting up, and I've been having people saying to me, asking when my 2nd video is coming. So once you subscribe, there's a little bell button which is by it. If you click the bell button, you'll get a notification every time that I post a video. People, have a blessed week. Think, what are the areas in your life which you need to step up? And remember, if you're still breathing, you should still be learning. Peace.